questions? No, we're closing in on 4 o'clock here. Nope. All right. So I appreciate your time and certainly reach out if you have any other questions, and I will get those retirement numbers to you. All of the commissioners there, Commissioner Steer, thank you for asking that. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen. For those who are just joining us, we just went through a work session, and now we're beginning to start Ways and Means at 4 o'clock with Commissioner Kim Sear. We'll wait 3 minutes before we get started.
Okay, it's 4 p.m. I think, I believe everybody's on, I'm thinking. I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee meeting to order for March 23rd, 2021, and it's 4 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Brown.
Here, Laketon Township.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Just a minute. Here, San Diego, California.
Commissioner Hughes.
She's excused.
Commissioner Laring.
Here, the Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Commissioner Nash.
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Pago.
I'm here, Holton Township.
Chairman Skolnick.
Here, City of Norton Shores.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
And Commissioner Sear.
Here in Twin Lake, Michigan. Item number 3, I'd like to call for an approval of the minutes for March 2nd, 2021.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. I'd like to have a roll call, please, on the approval of the minutes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Here.
We're voting on the minutes.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Commissioner Laring.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Pago.
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Sear.
Yes. Having approved the minutes, moving on to item 4, public comment on an agenda item only, please. If anybody has a public comment, please state your name and location and 2 minutes. Anybody for public comments? I see Larry Hall. Can you unmute Larry Hall, or does he have to do that himself?
Am I unmuted?
Yes,
Yes.
you are. Go ahead,
All
Larry.
right. Thank you. Larry Hall, 333 Washington Street, Grand Haven. I'd just like a brief comment on agenda item 28, the tax increment financing revenue sharing agreement that's on the agenda today. I am the current chair of the recently formed Fruitport Township DDA Downtown District Authority, and I just want to let the board know, the commission know, that we are as a DDA board, want to thank you for your consideration for this important item for Fruitport Township. As you know, DDA and TIF agreements are an integral part and tool for many municipalities and many within Muskegon County to stimulate economic development within their municipality. We're enthusiastic at Fruitport as a township to have the opportunity to use this tool as well.
Was out by the mall.
And it's out by the mall. Yes, the DDA district is defined from Sternberg to Pontaluna, north to south, Harvey Street to the west, to Coeur d'Alene Road to the east. This tool, will provide an ability to have incentives for economic development out in that space, which is badly needed. And again, I just want to express our appreciation as a DDA board for your interest and support on this important issue for Fruitport Township. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment? Do we have anybody else out there? I can't see anybody, so I don't know. Anybody see?
I'm not
any
seeing
hands up?
anybody.
Okay.
I don't see anybody.
Okay. All right, let's move on then to number 5, which is communication budget reports.
Recommend they be placed on file.
Okay. Items for consideration, WM 21/03-27 to approve the payment of the accounts payable of $8,265,429.29, covering the period of February 19th, 2021 through March 4th, 2021 for checks as presented by the county clerk.
So moved.
Or
We have motion and support. Any comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Can I ask who the second was? I missed that.
Commissioner Laring.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the roll call would be Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer.
Yes. That item passes. The next item is WM 21/03-28 to approve the agreement to share tax increment financing revenue from Muskegon County millage by and between Muskegon County, Fruitport Charter Township, and Fruitport Township Downtown Development Board on review and approval by the county's corporate council, and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Commissioner, Chairman Seer, I just have a question.
Yes, Chairman Skolnick, go ahead.
Beth, are you on the call? I can't see. Maybe.
Yes, I am.
Okay, just out of curiosity, how, it said it's subject to a maximum, the capture is a maximum amount of $11,310,914. How does that get tracked?
I believe the
it's for-
township or the board tracks that, what's being captured. The treasurer's office might be able to give a better explanation of that. I'm not totally familiar how that capture information is tracked.
Well, the reason I'm wondering is because this is going to go on longer than any of us are going to be around here anyway, in one of these meetings. I'm just curious how, sometimes you wonder when these things are done for decades, who keeps track of them?
And I think the treasurer's office gets information from the townships or cities that are capturing any of these taxes, and they provide it to them. So I think it's at the the local unit level where it's tracked.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes, Commissioner Nash, please.
When we initially started this, I remember the price tag was around $6 million, and I'm trying to figure out how we got to 11.
Commissioner Sear, it's Mark Eisenbarth.
Yes, Mark, go ahead.
If staff can switch to page 33, I believe. So the DDA met, and we also have the supervisor of Fruitport here with us as well, Todd Dunham, and he can help explain some of this. But when the DDA met, they met a few times, and they discussed the project within the boundaries, and these are the items they came up with. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see the 11.3 million. So that's coming away from their meetings. This is the project list they came up with and the amount they came up with.
I believe this is probably more detailed than it initially was back then also. I think there's probably some added items.
Much more detailed, correct.
Yeah, I have a question. I guess
Yes,
Mark,
Commissioner.
or Mr. Sear, was
Yes.
this amount negotiated? Is this just everything they asked for?
No, I have not changed any item on here.
So it's everything they want.
Well, they put a prioritized list together. I'm not sure how much they removed before they provided us the list, but this is the list they provided for us for consideration.
Because that's what was requested at the last meeting, I think, was a list of, okay, what are we going to use this money for? And here's the list, apparently.
Right.
Okay.
Chairman Sear.
Yes, Chairman Skolnick.
If Mr. Dunham, the township supervisor, I see he's on the call, if he'd like to just speak about it. I mean, a lot of this makes sense. Some of it might not even be used. I see there's reuse support for the Lakes Mall. We all know that they're going to have a problem here shortly, but maybe not. Maybe a miracle will happen. So I don't know. Mr. Dunham, you want to talk about it?
Yes, I will. How you all doing? I haven't seen a few of you in a long time, but I was kind of brought into this after I took office. So this was pretty much started, and then you guys, of course, this is a list that I generated or the DDA board generated. And after talking and meeting with the Chamber of Commerce and North Shores, there's other things. We're trying to work these two townships together, well, North Shores and Fruitport Township. These are ideas that came up. This isn't necessarily something that's, we're not gonna, these projects might not be done in the future. It's just ideas that we came up with. For instance, Commissioner Skolnick, you brought up the fact of the mall. You are very correct. We're not sure. But that was a plan. Of course, looking at the crystal ball in the future, I guess, is what we tried to come up with on a plan in general. That was our thought.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Nass, go ahead.
I guess that's what brings about my uneasiness about this, because I'm all for development and economic development, but I also know that we have an employee problem. And this is one thing that's going to keep us from reaching the goals that we need to reach and trying to ensure that we have the right kind of support for the employees we employ. Right now, every department just about is under fire of losing quality people to other communities because we don't pay our staff enough. We're constantly cutting budgets. We're constantly cutting insurance. We're cutting everything at the expense of our employees. And then we're further gifting away another $6 million that was not requested initially on some things we're not even sure is going to even happen. To me, I think we need a definite list, and I'm still trying to figure out how do we go from 6 to almost 12.
Commissioner Nash, there was the set price was, or the set amount was prior to me taking office. And that was, there was not even a list handed to you at that time. These projects, you have to sit down and have a plan. We just can't, for instance, the Harvey Street core line, the road extension, utility extension. There's a plan being put together on how that goes. So then the next, if we want to work on the, let's say, number 2, the future projects A, the DDA board has to put together a plan and then go in front of our township board to approve that. This just isn't money that's just there. You, as the projects come, you get bonds.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that we were given a definite list of the things that needed to happen and how much it was going to cost. And then that was the amount. It was 6.1 or 6.3 million, whatever it was. Now we're given another list that we're not even sure what's going to happen. And it's almost like a double wish list. And I think we just need to be more fiscally sound when we're dealing with things like this. Because again, we have a crisis with our county that we're not supporting our employees enough. And now here we're talking about an extra $6 million that we're not even sure what's going to happen with. I would like to see a list of projects that's definitely going to happen, that's going to cost a definite amount of dollars, because even some of the prices that I'm looking at out here don't seem right.
Mr. Chair.
Comment, if I may.
Mr. Laring, please.
So this idea that it's costing us an extra $6 million, if these projects don't go through, then the funds for those projects won't be approved. These projects have to be approved, managed, and successfully completed. There's nothing out there right now to capture any revenue. So the idea that we're losing revenue is kind of a flawed idea. We're not capturing revenue off of this property now. After it's built and all these developments have opened, there will be a much higher revenue. We actually tasked corporate counsel to negotiate with Fruitport and the DDA to come up with a workable agreement. And this is what they brought forward to us. This is the list of things that they wish to complete. And if they build this, there's going to be significant revenue coming into the county, which we do not have. If you look on this list, there's stalled hotels that we've all seen vacant. They're going to be able to reuse these developments. The Lakes Mall is not producing revenue for the area. This will significantly increase the revenue in that area through the mall. So the tax base is going to go up, not down, because of this project. And as far as employees, this just gives more opportunity for employment in the county. It isn't costing the county anything. We're not getting revenue off of this property right now. Half of it's blueberry field with trash dumped in it. I get complaints from my residents all the time with people dumping trash out there because it's just stalled, dormant property. And this will give the incentive to put the infrastructure in to build new projects. And without this, they can't move forward. And we continually will have a blight problem in that community. This is an opportunity for us to promote jobs and economic development in the area of Fruitport. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
I just want to point out that the city of Norton Shores had a similar arrangement on the other side of Harvey Street. In fact, if I remember right, they built that new fire station on Honolulu Road with this money. They also built a new public works building with it. But last year, I think they returned, Mark or Beth, I believe about $400,000 to the county because they didn't have a use for it. And they can't just take this money and use it to plug their holes in their general fund. Mark, or is somebody more of an expert on this than I am?
Correct. This is Mark. They did reimburse us 2 of the last 3 years. of excess dollars they pass through to us.
So they can't use this money for their general fund. It has to be used in that DDA area. And it's kind of difficult to predict going forward. If they don't, they have to come up with projects that actually fit that area or they can't spend the money. You know, initially it was just to get that project built at that golf course on the golf course property. But actually, I'm kind of glad they're looking ahead. So hopefully they won't end up with those stalled hotels there forever. And that mall, with whatever happens to that, there's at least some money available to help that transition into whatever it will become in the future. And as far as Mr. Laring, I think we agree on this, that there really is no there's very little revenue there at the moment. And that will come if that large housing project goes forward, which I assume it is. Mr. Dunham, is that project moving ahead? There will be significant revenue there. Todd, do you know if they're doing that?
You talking about the development on the golf course itself?
Yes.
Yes, that was the basically the driving force of the DDA. That's what started. They are, in fact, I looked at site plans last week for it. So yeah, they are ready to go.
Okay.
Yes.
I have another question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Nash, go ahead.
I wanted to know, is there any plans to put any hotels on this property?
Not at this time, if that's not part of the plan at this time.
Okay, but if I guess this is a question for corporate counsel. If there was a hotel to be installed on that property, how would that impact our tax that we collect through the ATA
DDA?
It's
You
the
talking about the bed tax?
Correct.
I'll have to look. I have not looked at that specifically, but I don't think that would be subject to capture, but I'd have to check.
Is there a way you can find that out for sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's one other concern with me also, is that, you know, if there is some hotel development on that property, I still want to make sure that we can get that captured to go into that hotels, because that is money that definitely goes back to that group that does economic development throughout the county, not just in the Fruitport area. And I'd hate for us to lose that opportunity, because this property, we all know it's going to develop. We all know it's going to develop tremendously. And I know we're going to collect that surrounding tax. And I want everybody to understand, I'm not against economic development, but I am uneasy about this wish list that doubled since our last few meetings that we had in the Fruitport. We were introduced that twice with the 6 point whatever million that it was. And then we come back to this list, and then we're not even sure if this is going to happen. So I feel like we're going back to where we were before. We're putting the cart before the horse. And, you know, one of our major responsibilities for the county is to be sound. Yes, we're not collecting it now, but that money is going to be money we could collect in the future.
No.
And if we're going to give it away, then we need to make sure that we have something solid that's going to develop, because we're jeopardizing also these funds that could be collected to go into the general fund to help support our employees. And right now, if you look at Muskegon County compared to most counties around, we're one of the lowest paying counties, and we constantly lose top-notch people to other counties based on that. And right now, I know even Health West, who we all wanted to get this funding back from, is in a hiring crisis because they can't seem to hire the people, because they're all going to other communities because they pay more and their insurance is better.
Chairman Nash, I believe the goal in this whole DDA is to take you know, we've been getting a certain amount of property tax off of the district now, and it probably will not increase to our benefit in the future unless we have some type of infrastructure type development. And that looks like that's the kind of things that this DDA is addressing. And in the future, I believe even with the development of, let's say, the casino north of this property, I think it's going to probably make the area in this DDA very, very attractive to investors, be whatever type they may be, whether it be hotels or food service or whatever it might be. And but only if this property is developed so that they've got the infrastructure to be able to build what they want to build on these sites. So in the long run, I think that this would probably increase the county's income substantially, and we'd be much better able to support our employees.
Commissioner Sear.
Mr. Sear?
Mr. Homier, please.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that that everybody has an understanding. Let me address the initial amount. The initial amount was not backed up, as far as I know, with any particular list of items. It was an estimate of costs at the time with very limited information about what improvements, what infrastructure might be developed as part of a development plan. Because the township's DDA is so new, they do not yet have a development plan. And I would expect that in the future, when they do get a development plan approved, that it would include those list of items that are included as part of the agreement. That's how the amount changed over time. It was never, in my opinion, at least set in stone. So that it was a fluctuating number based on the project plans that may be included in a development plan. So now I can't either give you any indication of whether these numbers are right, wrong, or otherwise either. I'm not an engineer. I don't know whether these are engineers' estimates of those costs. I presume that they are, but I do not know that. The other thing, though, that's important is for the commission to understand is that on one hand, it's a chicken and egg problem, like Commissioner Laring has explained. That is, without the investment into the infrastructure, you may not get the development, so that it's a potential opportunity cost, but you won't know that until you get into the tax sharing arrangement. In other words, if this property were to develop, it hasn't developed thus far, and you would not generate the additional revenue anyways if it doesn't develop. On the other hand, you are giving up that tax captured revenue from the development of the property. So the township's right that you would likely go out, bond for these projects, and then use the tax increment capture as a revenue source to pay for that debt obligation, which was the catalyst for that development. So after 20 years, however, or this cap of the 11,310,914, after that, the DDA continues to capture all of the taxes, the county taxes, but they are precluded from retaining any of that captured revenue. So depending on the timing of the improvements and development, you have to look at this as an either or. So the sharing would terminate upon the expiration of 20 years or earlier if they hit that cap earlier than 20 years. In any event, 20 years or 11,310,914, after that, after either one of those is met, the county then would retain all of the tax revenue within the DDA that would belong to the county at that point.
Okay.
Mr. Sear?
Commissioner Hovey-Wright, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would, first of all, I totally agree that we need to do a TIF for Fruitport. We need to help with the development that's needed. But I do think the list seems like a wish list and maybe needs to be pared back a little. And I would support, maybe cutting back the years to 15, which result in about 3.8 million less money that the county would not be collecting. Maybe that's a compromise that we could live with. But I do support helping Fruitport Township. I just think that maybe we need to pare it back a little bit to something that is more affordable for the county. And I know that it will help, with revenue down the road, but this is money, tax revenue we won't be getting for 20 years. That's a lot. And so is 11.3 million. So maybe we can find a middle ground or a more affordable ground.
Only concerned that without the DDA, that would not be our tax revenue anyway. So, any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Sear, I just one other thing.
Chairman,
This $11,310,000 is not all county money. That's the total capture amount. So I believe I'm correct, Beth or Mark, the county share of that is much smaller. Is that correct or not?
No, we broke it down. There is a county collection and there is a township collection. So we show it separately on your spreadsheet that was sent out earlier.
Okay. All right.
Because the county would continue to collect taxes from that property as we are today, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions, please?
One last question.
Yes, Commissioner Nash.
So, Mike, if there is an issue with the tax capture through the hotels, will we have the ability to put in a carve out for that in the contract?
Yeah, so, this is right now in front of Ways and Means, so I expect to have that question answered for you by the time the board considers it. If the Ways and Means approves the concept, which is a 20-year limitation of tax capture in not more than 11,310,914. Okay. This agreement still has to be approved also by the township board and the DDA.
Right. And one last thing.
Yes, Charles.
If we agree to this, but in the 20 years, the tax capture only ends up being $8 million. Is the 20-year deadline done and then for future tax comes back to the county, or do they still keep collecting until they reach the 11?
So they keep collecting, they keep capturing, but the agreement says they have to remit all of that money that is captured after 20 years to the county.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it comes back to the county coffers. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question,
Yes,
Mr. Sear.
Please.
With an expansion like this, is there some way we can consider the water coming from Muskegon Heights again? We need to think about it because there's a great expansion and here we sit alone with our water and there's nothing wrong with the water in Muskegon Heights. And I think it should be considered. I don't expect an answer now.
Any other questions? All right, hearing no other questions, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Laring. Commissioner Laring, you're muted.
Zach.
Sorry, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
I want to get a couple of answers. Right now, no.
Commissioner Pego.
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
No.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
No.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes,
5 yes, 3 no.
that item passes. Next item, WM 21/03-29, to approve a reduction in the Morgan Stanley's annual plan fees from 0.20% to 0.10% effective April 1st, 2021, and to authorize the Human Resources Director to sign the amendment accordingly.
So moved, Skolnick.
Support.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Mr. Seer, I'm just curious if Kristen is on the call. Did we ask for this, or did they just come forward with it to stay competitive?
Kristen Wade, Human Resources Director, they just came forward with this, and they offered this before they knew that we were going out for an RFP.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright. You're muted, Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Oh. No, I'm not. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer.
Yes. That item passes. The next item is WM 21/03-30 to approve entering into a yearly service agreement with Bonfire Software beginning April 1st, 2021, and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement with the cost of $9,500 annually.
So moved, Skolnick.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Mr. Chair, I do have a comment, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Laring, go ahead.
I am wondering why this is only partially budgeted and where the balance is going to come from.
Ivan Phillips, are you on the call? Ivan's with us, and I'm not sure the answer to that question.
I am. I've been having trouble, keep getting knocked off, sorry.
Okay.
What was the question again, please?
My question is, why is this only partially budgeted and where is the balance going to come from?
This is on Bonfire?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is Ivan Phillips, IT Director, Muskegon County. This is partially budgeted due to the fact that the original product we were using was a little bit less money than what we had previous year, which was Cobblestone. Cobblestone was an incomplete product that we had to customize. Right, like you get a big open frame, you got to customize all the fields, and it just wasn't going to work for us. So we stopped going down that road. We reinvestigated what was the next best in line. It's Bonfire by far. It's not, you don't have to customize it hardly at all. It does contract tracking, just like it says. I don't have to read it to you, but that's why it's only partially budgeted, Commissioner.
All right, so my second question is, where does the balance of the funds come from?
The balance is going to come from the departments that are going to be using it. Myself, my own department is going to be entering quite a large sum of money into this that we have in our budget, and Matt Farah and Dave Johnson now at the wastewater both wanted to buy into this also with money they had out of their budgets.
I have one additional question, if I may, Commissioner Seer.
Go ahead.
So a lot of these things you put I don't recall seeing this come before the board for a request for proposal. Did it come before the board that you asked for a request previously for this, or is this, I just don't remember voting on a request for a proposal for this.
Okay, that actually goes back before me. Beth, you were the initial one that started with the Cobblestone. Do you recall? Is that we actually before the board?
Yeah, Beth Dick, Director of Finance. This item actually is below the threshold for needing to go out for a request for proposal.
Okay,
That's 25,000 and above. So basically they went and did research, getting quotes and looking at other companies. Once the board did approve to end the contract with Cobblestone and got permission, I believe at that time, I can't remember how long ago that was, to seek other options.
thank you.
Mr. Seer, just
Yes,
one
Commissioner
question.
Skolnick.
I'm in favor of this. I'm just curious. I didn't catch the unbudgeted part. I'm not concerned about that particularly, but like how much, what is the difference between this? And I know the original stuff didn't work. I'm just curious how much more this is than the original Cobblestone. Was it a lot or a little? I don't have any idea.
May I answer that, Commissioner?
Yes, Ivan, go ahead.
This is, again, Ivan Phillips, IT Director. The Cobblestone was running us. It was kind of weird how they had it laid out, Commissioner. It's a really good question. It was like 78 and some change, 7,800 and some change. But then it was on a sliding scale from that as you went forward, depending on how much of that program you were actually going to use.
Okay.
The bonfire is not. It's a set 9,500.
So there really isn't that much difference.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Pego,
No.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes,
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer.
Yes. That item passes. The next item, WM 21/03-31, to authorize the Information Technology Department to issue a request for proposal RFP for a vendor to service and maintain the security equipment and software at the Juvenile Transition Center and the Muskegon County Jail.
So move.
Support Skolnick.
Hearing a motion and support, is there any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Mr. Chair, I have a question, kind of relating. Thank you. So again, this item's not budgeted, it's not partially budgeted, it's not budgeted at all. Did you not forecast?
Yes, it's budgeted.
Sorry, did you say something, Marcia?
It says.
Scroll
it's
back
budgeted.
one. Go back to 31, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one up.
So I'll
Go ahead,
continue
Mr.
if I
Larry.
may. So this is not budgeted. Two parts to my question. How are we going to pay for it? Where are the funds going to come from? And did you not forecast this ahead of time when you were creating the 2021 budget? I guess that's a question to Mr. Phillips.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Laring. Again, Ivan Phillips, IT Director, Muskegon County. This really is a proposal for us to go out and find a vendor that can actually work on this equipment in case of an emergency. Also, the equipment that we're talking about is specific to the security of both the jail and the JTC. We do not have a vendor currently on contract, so that in an emergency situation that we can call them to have them come out and fix whatever's wrong, like the doors won't open in the jail or the lights won't work, or I'm sure the sheriff can give you a long list of things that security environment impacts and is mission critical to keep both the jail and JTC running. This allows us to go out and at least contract with a vendor, so we have them under contract, so we can call them in an emergency situation to have them come in and work on this unique security software and equipment that we have in the jail and JTC. So we're not really spending any money right now, but if necessary in the future under emergency, we need to call them in, then the money would kick in.
So again, this apparently was not forecasted into the 2021 budget. I'm not sure how we're going to pay for it. You could answer that part of the question. Secondly is, how long has it been since we've had a contract with somebody to provide maintenance on this system? And who's been doing it in the in the meantime when there's nobody contracted to do it currently.
Thank you, Commissioner Laring. Excellent. That brings me right into the next phase of it. We used to have, well, excuse me, when it was under warranty, we had a company across the lake in Racine, Wisconsin, called Accurate Controls, which was the original vendor that installed all that equipment, both at the JTC and the jail. That warranty has since run out. I do not know if the sheriff has any money or the JTC has any money in their maintenance budgets to cover this. You'd have to ask them. But since that the guarantees have worn out, have gone expired, this is why we're bringing this out now, because it cost. We actually had Accurate Controls quote us what it would cost them to come over on an emergency, and I have a copy of the quote. I should have put it in this motion. It takes them 2 days to get over, 2 to 3 days to get over here, and it's $5,000 for them to touch down because they'd fly over, and then the clock starts ticking from there. So we said that seems to be a little out of the realm of what we want to do. So that's why we're going to go out and look for a contractor locally that can service us for the jail and JTC for these types of security software and equipment.
Okay, so if I can follow up on my question, Commissioner Sear.
Yes, please, Zach.
So when did the contract end with the installer? How long have we been without a contract?
I had bonfire. Beth, could you answer that question, please?
I do not have that information. We'll have to look into that and get back before the full board.
It's probably been a couple years, Commissioner Laring. I'm sorry. It's probably been a couple years.
So in the meantime, who's been maintaining this system?
Well, fortunately, we haven't had anything major happen. Facilities has been able to troubleshoot. That's still our first line of defense. Troubleshoot, being able to replace a broken, failed relay or a timer or a CPU module. It's called an OTB, but it's actually the actual processor that runs the thing. There's been no programming involved, but now that equipment has gone obsolete, of course. And to replace it, we can get a replacement, but it takes a completely different type of programming software to actually make that happen. So it takes it right out of our hands at that point.
So if I understand this, I don't know the right terminology for it, but we don't know how we're going to pay for it. If we do get a vendor to provide the service, and if the sheriff's not budgeted for it or within his parameters, then I'm assuming the funds will come out of general funds dollars.
That would be correct. I don't know if the sheriff or someone from the JTC is on that can answer the question if they have any money in their budget for a service or emergency service.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Nash.
I'd like to ask the administrator, has this technology previously come under IT, or does this previously come under the sheriff department when it was initially installed?
So when it was installed, it was an IT vendor that came in and installed it. Luckily, like Mr. Phillips said, that we haven't had much repair, but IT normally comes under the IT department. But remember, under the IT department, that whole budget's all charged back to individual departments as a cost allocation process.
So this would be charged back to the sheriff's department?
Yeah, since they're the only one that uses this, well, actually the JTC as well. So
right,
be charged to those two departments.
Okay.
Mr. Sear.
Yes, Commissioner Skolnick.
If I could just
Chairman Skolnick, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman Sear. It seems to me this is like, not only is it necessary, this is like a smart move. We've got equipment there. The door locks, the entrance and exit doors, the lights, the water. If this thing, now obviously we would have our own maintenance people try to fix it, but if we can't, we need somebody to call to come and fix it. It's like, I don't budget a new furnace for my house if I don't need a furnace. If the furnace breaks, I fix it, and then, it's got to be fixed. I don't know what we're arguing about this for, because it's a maintenance item. You can't budget everything. There's some maintenance money.
I wanted to just comment. I hope no one thought that was a argument. That was not an argument. I was just trying to clarify that the funding would have to come from the sheriff department because of the chargeback.
Okay. It's a request for proposal. I think we probably ought to move ahead with. That's my feeling anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
No.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes, and that item passes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
may I interrupt at this point?
Yes, would you go ahead, please, on this item?
Yes, today we realized that this motion was incorrect. So what you have in your packet says $1,619 with attachments showing that cost. The attachments are wrong, therefore led to the wrong dollar amount in the motion. So the correct motion is 222,350,000, and then there's two attachments with that. So instead of making the corrections today at noon, so everybody has the right motion in front of them, which now is on the screen. This is what we're requesting.
Okay, let me see here. So that's the new.
Yes, only thing changed on there was the number. And then page 2 will show the supporting documentation.
Okay, so this is to authorize information technology to purchase a needed Cisco phone system upgraded in the amount of $222,350 and further authorize board chair to sign the 50-month agreement from CDW-G.
Support.
So moved. Hovey Wright.
Wait, did we have did we finish 31? I didn't hear the vote.
We did vote. Didn't we vote on that?
Yes, you did, sir.
Yeah, we voted.
No, I know we voted. I just didn't hear the outcome. What was the outcome of the
passed.
vote?
It was
It's
8-1,
sir.
We didn't vote on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
thank
did.
you.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
There was a second.
On item 32.
I had a second from Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Thank you. I have a
Thank
motion
you.
to support. Are there questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Ivan, could you go ahead and explain this one since
Please.
the confusion took place?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, Ivan Phillips, IT Director, Muskegon County. This motion is the biggest part of it is going to be the the new E911 laws. In the new E911 laws, we have to be in compliance. We don't have a choice. They allow central dispatch, if you will, or emergency services to, when you call in 911, if you will, from an office inside of, say, the Hall of Justice. Right now, it just shows the Hall of Justice. It doesn't show you what floor you're on, what office you're in, and these new E911 laws will actually make that happen. And part of this package is that new E911 service. The other, okay, it's jumping all around here. Did you bring that back, please? That also, thank you. That also gives us the upgrade, the very needed upgrade for our call manager. This is version 9. It brings us up to version 13. And it also includes that cost. This is budgeted through IT at $77,000 a year. So actually, if you look at the total overall price that we can get this for, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ivan.
Was there a question? I'm sorry.
No, there was not.
Okay. The overall cost savings over this 15-month period is approximately $85,650, although we're getting much more for our money on top of that huge savings.
Okay, so this, Ivan, so this 222,350 is for all of the 50 months, basically. It's going to cover all of that time.
Correct, less a couple of months in proration. That's why it's 50 months, not a full 5 years. That's a good question. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright, and I had
Yes.
muted you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody went to the door.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes,
8 yes.
that item passes. Next item, WM 21/03-33, excuse me, to authorize information technology to purchase a renewal of the VM backup software at a cost of $30,433 for 5 years or $6,086 per year, and authorize the board chair to sign the 5-year renewal contract.
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Yeah, Mr. Seer, maybe Ivan, this is backup software for what? Is this for the entire system?
Yes, Commissioner Skolnick, again, Ivan Phillips, IT Director. This is something we've had all along. This
Okay.
is just a way of us saving money by buying it in a 5-year shot. We get to save about 21% across the 5 years. That's a substantial savings for the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can I have a roll call on this item, please?
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes,
8 yes.
and that item passes. Thank you. Next item, WM 21/03-34 to approve the agreement between the County Board of Commissioners and the Water Resources Commissioner.
Move.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Pagel, please.
who is going to be responsible for paying for that lake level study?
Mr. Farah?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Matt Farah, Public Works. The assessment district would pay that study.
Okay, any other questions?
I guess I'm trying to understand this completely. Is this telling us that the county is being relieved of responsibility or incurring all responsibility?
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Under this agreement, the county would be relieved of responsibility and costs for operating that lake level control system. It would go back to the special assessment district.
Okay.
Okay.
And so if any errors come up in the future with this, where somehow there's some property damage or something that comes out of there, we're not responsible.
Matt, we didn't hear you.
Yes, that's correct. It'd fall under the Water Resources Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, meaning no, we're not responsible, right?
But let me just say something.
Yes, meaning no, we're not responsible.
Can I say something here?
Yes, Commissioner Nash, please.
This is really kind of a switcheroo, because if it goes back on the Water Resource Commissioner, who's responsible for that? The county.
If I may, Commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Farah, please.
Thank you. This agreement outlines, who pays, and we're protecting the agreement. That's why we wanted it. So the County of Muskegon, the general fund, if you will, wouldn't be incurring any costs there.
Okay, all right.
And this exactly like the other lake levels that I'm aware of, Duck Lake and Browns Pond as well, where all the costs will be borne by those that benefit.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Next item, WM 21/03-35, to approve the attached resolution authorizing notice of intent and declaring intent to reimburse for water supply system revenue bonds not to exceed $15 million and authorize the clerk to sign the resolution.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and support. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns on this item? Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
8 yes.
8 yes, that item passes. All right, we're moving on to number 7, which is unfinished business. Does anybody have any unfinished business? I don't know if this is unfinished business or not, but I was on a Zoom with the Windsor Dick people regarding the Transportation Authority. They have 3 proposals to do the transportation study that they're reviewing, hoping to probably make a decision, choose one of those individuals to do the transportation study by Friday, which is this 3/26. So that's what I have. Any other unfinished business?
Can I ask you to clarify that again? You said a transportation study?
The study that is studying moving mats to an authority.
Well, no, it's the joining of the 2 systems. Well, both maybe.
It's a study to determine what direction we'll actually be going.
Right.
So we're not sure what the outcome is going to be yet. So
Thank you. Right.
any other unfinished business at all?
Is that with the Windsor Dick?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Any new business? Item number 8, new business. Anybody have any new business?
I have a couple items for discussion, no decision today, just discussion.
Okay.
The work share program that we just ended, I believe March 12th was the last week they participated. Therefore, there is a new one that is has begun actually. This is the same way as the other ones have been set up, where an employee can be furloughed a day. It could be one day a week, or even one day a month for that matter. What we'd like to do is allow staff to participate in this again. The directors would obviously choose which ones can and cannot. The courts have already made a decision to participate in this program. The money does help their budget, but there are a shortfall this year. The money will help offset that. And if there is not a deficit in their department for this year, then they could look at using that for fiscal year 2022. I would like to bring a motion forward under my report to spell that out better. But the idea is the next work share program has begun and the courts are participating, and I'll be asking for other departments to participate if they so desire. Any questions on that?
Well, I have a comment if you're open to that.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Laring, go ahead, please.
My comment would be if you don't need these employees and they are laid off, let's just lay them off. I didn't support the last work share program and I don't support this one.
Any other questions?
All right, the next item is American Rescue Plan. You've seen it probably in the newspaper yesterday or day before. There's a link there for you as well. The American Rescue Plan, there's a list that gives to the county. There's also a list of cities and townships. Muskegon County will be receiving a little around 33.6 million. There was a meeting from the state today, the finance department there discussed this. There's still, all the guidelines are not out on what you can use it for and what you can't. They did say for sure, like we said last week, you cannot use it for paying off your pension debt. But they are coming out with a list of items that we can use it for. They say we have until 2034, I believe, 3 years to work through this. They say don't rush to make a decision how it's being spent. Take your time, do your research. Remember, one of the last things they said, remember, any new construction you create now will be a debt that you continue to pay on later on. So be careful what you choose to use it for. More information is yet to come on it though. In the meantime, there's a link there that you can click on and read more about it. Again, you hear about the cities, what their intentions are, townships. The villages were part of the townships that they're working through that. So they did say these numbers are not final, but they may be changed a little bit.
Any questions? Any other new business at all?
I have one from Sandra Vanderhyde. I have her with us today. They have to take action on their offices and when they're open based on the new positive rates. Sandra, are you available?
Oh, there we go. I'm unmuted. Hello, Sandra Vanderhyde, Circuit Court Administrator. Thank you for your time today. So we've been meeting regularly with Kathy Moore to find out what our local COVID-19 data is so that we know where we can be in our phased reopening plan for the courts. And unfortunately, what we learned from her yesterday is that we're actually going to have to go back to phase 2. So the gating criteria for us to go to phase 2, as you recall, is set by the Michigan Supreme Court. And it says that there's an upward trajectory of documented cases for a 14-day period and an upward trajectory of positive tests as a percent of total tests for a 14-day period. So as of today, we have met both of those criteria. So effective tomorrow, we're going to be going backwards to phase 2. Now, the good news is that it doesn't change much. We do have to go back to having as many employees work remotely as possible and conducting the maximum amount of hearings virtually as possible. Fortunately, there's exceptions. There's some staff that can't work remotely. They'll be in the Hall of Justice, and there's some hearings that at this point it makes better sense for them to be in person. So fortunately, we have those exceptions, but our windows will once again be closed to the public. I think that covers the significant changes going backwards from phase 3 to phase 2. So we just hope that in the near future, we'll be able to move forward again. Any questions?
Sandra, do you all have your own individual Facebook page or any type of social media for the public?
We do have a social media for the public, a family court one that Tracy Bankhead does a great job of keeping up to date. Do you have a request for us to put on there?
I was just thinking if that notice can be placed on there regarding that situation. That way we can, help you spread that word.
Certainly, we'll put it on our Facebook page as well as get it on the website. Right now, the press release is out for review, and we hope to issue that then tomorrow.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are looking forward to the opening and being able to come back. But if we're going backwards, I think it's good for us to publicize that so people understand and not coming all the way down here and get disappointed.
Will do. Thank you, Commissioner.
We'll also send you the press release tomorrow once it's finalized.
Okay, good.
Right.
One last item for you is the Opens Meeting Act ends March 31st. So our first meeting is going to be April 1st in person. We can talk more about this next Tuesday, but Mike Homier and I were talking through this process. And as long as this county is not in a state of emergency, the county is not in a state of emergency, we have to meet back in person. In addition, we have to allow the public to be able to participate either in person or, actually it doesn't say or, I'm saying or. We'll have the Zoom link there for them to watch, but we have to allow the public to come into the building and to participate in that meeting. Mike Homier, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so there are currently 3 bills pending in the legislature. Those bills have not moved. I'm not sure that they are likely to move prior to March 30th. So in response to that, and in response to the uptick, many of my clients are either declaring a state of emergency for the purpose of continuing virtual meetings because it is difficult, if not impossible, to comply both with the MDHHS order limiting gatherings and the Open Meetings Act simultaneously. So we never know how many people might show up to meetings. You're limited to indoor gatherings under the MDHHS order to 25 indoors. Once a 26th person shows up, it's unclear to me what or how you are expected to comply with the OMA. So to comply with both, you would have to turn members of the public away, offer them a virtual option to participate, but of course they may lose some time in attending that meeting because they are turned away. Moreover, at least for the county, I'm not sure what happens if the courts close the Hall of Justice to the public and then we're letting in the public to attend open meetings. So I understand that my clients want to meet in person. I understand that. But I will tell you from my own personal experience, with my kids going back to hybrid at school, there has been a decided uptick in the number of cases where kids and people are testing positive. Whether that has an impact on the county or not, I don't know yet. I just know that it's going to create a logistics problem for us to comply with both the MDHHS and the OMA. So many counties like Kalamazoo County, they declared a state of emergency effective through the end of the year. That allows any municipality to continue holding virtual meetings. You're not required to hold virtual meetings under a declaration of a state of emergency, but you may. So, you know, it's going to take some doing to try and facilitate that access. When we talk about a hybrid system works, except that if you get past March 30th and there is no state of emergency, then you have to open those meetings up to the public because it requires a place to hold those public meetings. And that's when you get trapped into this limitation on the MDHHS gathering order.
Sounds like we're just going to have to wait and see what, I don't know. It's very, very confusing to me. And you, I assume, Mr. Homier.
Well, it's not, I will say this, the legislature or MDHHS, however you want to look at it, has created an impossible situation for local municipalities to comply with both. If the gathering limitations were loosened up so that you could have people gathered face-to-face for in-person meetings, then it wouldn't be an issue. But that gathering order, as it's currently worded, says you've got a limit of 25 indoors and you have to maintain social distancing. So given that, I don't know how many people you could fit in the county board chambers, but not probably 25. And if it is 25, you're limited to that. So when the next person arrives, you would have to turn them away and say, go connect electronically. And by the time they do that, meeting's halfway done. So it's problematic from that aspect.
What about if we would have another room somewhere available that had a video of the meeting? And if the board meeting was full, we could redirect those people to another room that they could watch the meeting there.
Yeah, so technically that probably doesn't comply. That would be attendance by virtual means where, but it might. And so, you know, I'm sort of torn on it. Obviously, the goal is to provide access to the public. So if they have access, if you would otherwise turn them away and say, I'm sorry, we're limited, but you could have access by virtual means, then I don't see the difference between doing that in a separate room at the county versus doing that by some remote means, say in their car or at home or whatever.
Yeah, agreed.
So, Mike,
Mr.
I'm thinking that maybe in some ways, from what you've telling us, we maybe want to consider a declaring a state of emergency so we could have a hybrid type of meeting so that those that want to attend can, and those who can't or are afraid to can still do the virtual meeting. And I think that would be something that would be more reasonable. It may be at least until June, you know, once these vaccines get out or whatever else. But I just think that that's probably the only way to get around through that to satisfy both, you know, the DHS ruling and also the Open Meetings Act.
Well, I can tell you that I was at a meeting yesterday, by virtual meeting, and there were 60 people in attendance, and there was no way you were going to get 60 people to attend in person because of the MDHHS order and the social distancing that's required under that order. So in that municipality anyways, they agreed, because that county is under a declared state of emergency, they agreed to continue holding virtual meetings for 30 additional days and then reevaluate it from there. Because otherwise they just don't have the technological means yet to do both and still make sure that the public could participate and hear each of the members. With Muskegon County, it may be possible to declare a local state of emergency to limit the indoor gathering and to allow the county to continue holding virtual meetings. And then you can decide whether county board members would be in the same room and provide virtual access to the public. And that would be permissible under both the OMA and the MDHHS order.
Mr. Sear, if I could just make make a quick comment. I've had people ask about attending meetings just a few days ago. And, you know, I know that we're streaming them live on Facebook. And I thought, okay, well, you know, you just go to the Muskegon County website and you can see the meeting on Facebook, or it's archived on YouTube. But you can't say anything. You can't raise your hand. You can't do anything. So really, the only way for the public to participate is by logging in with the Zoom meeting. And that creates, for us, it's not a problem because we know how to do it. But for the average person, finding the Zoom link, and it's not that easy. And I'm not sure what the solution to that is. I guess you could publish it every week on the county website, but I mean, to try to explain that in a paragraph to a person who isn't familiar with Zoom isn't easy. So anyway, that's just my comment.
Okay, thank you.
I want to add one more bit of information for you, Commissioner, if you may.
Okay, yes.
I talked to Representative Sable today, and he said the Senate leadership and the House leadership have no interest in extending past March 30th. And also, this is their last week they're in session, and they're on a 2-week spring break.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see going forward here next couple of weeks what's actually going to come out of this. So.
Well, I think let's, for purposes of the county, if the county intends or desires to declare that local state of emergency for purposes of continuing some version of virtual meetings, then I think you have one more meeting in which to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Ho, Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Pago.
this is kind of directed, well, this is directed at Mr. Homier. I know, I don't have it verbatim, but I know in the current order, in every order we've had, does have verbiage at the end as far as this goes for the social distancing spacing. It says to the best of the ability, to the extent possible.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Other comments?
I'm not sure that was a question, but I will comment on it. You know, look, it's not as if I believe that the COVID police are going to swoop in and fine you for holding a meeting, but I can't very well either advise the county to violate the law,
Yeah,
regardless of what you think of the order.
We understand, Mr. Homier. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have one more item for you, and that's our.
Okay.
Hey, you said that was the last one.
You know, I said that. You're right. I'm not. Okay, Beth Dick, you're up. You're getting me in trouble here.
Sorry about that. I had to remind him that I wanted to speak. Just wanted to update the board on the county's fiscal 2020 audit, which is actually a combination of the Health West has their own separate audit that they have done by their auditing firm, BDO Seidman, and then the county's audit is done by Raymond Robinson. And we actually, the county's audit needs to include the information from the Health West audit before we can publish our audit. So this year, I'll start off by saying I'm very confident we are going to meet our March 31st deadline of filing these reports with the state of Michigan and the various other things that we need to file by that March 31st deadline, which is a requirement. But there is a caveat that potentially right now the audits they're in the hands of our auditors to finish their review processes. And the Health West audit is very close. They just received some of their last remaining pieces of information today that they were waiting for. So they need to get it through a final review process on our end. And our auditors are just waiting for their final audit to be done so that they can include it in with our audit and get those reports published. Barring any unforeseen issues with that final review, we should make the deadline, but there's always a chance that there could be something that might come up. If that were to occur and we find that out in the next day or so, that there's a possibility something could get delayed, then we would need to file a request for extension with the state of Michigan. And my understanding is that that has been a fairly, I don't want to say norm, but that has happened with other municipalities because of COVID. That those types of extensions have been requested this time more than in past years. I would say that that would be the reasoning for ours as well, if we were to have to request an extension, because we've had to do this all remotely, both internally and with the auditors working remotely. It has caused some delays on both the Health West side and our side to maneuver and manage through that process. And we have been working a lot of extra hours to meet the deadline, and we're still really focused on meeting that deadline. Everyone on our side is ready to do that, but we cannot control our auditors as far as getting it through their final processes. So I just wanted to make you aware of this. If for some reason we did have to
enjoy your company, Zach. Okay.
If for some reason we did have to file an extension, that is just a letter that goes from the county administrator to the state of Michigan. And then we would also notify the board if that were to happen. But I just wanted to give you that update.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Public comment, item number 9, public comment. Is there any public comment? Anybody see anybody? I can't see anybody, so.
I do not see anybody raising their hand.
Okay, that item 10 is a final board comment. Any final board comments?
No, I just want to thank everyone for the DDA. That was part of our strategic plan to help with the infrastructure. So I want to thank my fellow commissioners. That's number one. Number two is I just saw an article just popped up, the return of the Muskegon. Hello. I just saw an article pop up, return of the Muskegon Airfare, a goal of the new airport management group. So we're moving in the right direction, everyone.
right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Brown. Any other final board comments? Hearing none, I move we adjourn. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody opposed? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.